I don't coach them to do it. Because I'll tell you this, we had an LOA that coached one of the guys or encouraged them to report. They filed the complaint against somebody that cold called them, but they didn't know that person's name. And so they told the name of the LOA agent who helped them do it. The complaint got filed against the LOA agent. There was no complaint against him, but they just didn't understand the old person on the phone. Anyway.
That's happened to us twice.
What's up, guys? Justin Brock here with the Insurance Gurus podcast. Got my co-host, Steven Martinez, our Chief Marketing Officer. Today, we have an awesome guest from Georgia. You'll be able to, I don't even have to say it. You'll hear it. You'll hear it. He sounds very Georgia. But we got Hunter Davis, who's the COO of Elite. And some of you guys know or are familiar with Elite. They have a really strong Medicare Advantage team in Georgia and around some other areas as well. And they have a great system in place, a career channel, if you will. And that's kind of what we want to talk about today is, the difference in the success we see with agents who are in a controlled sales environment where they have a process to plug right into rather than guys that are just kind of throwing wet noodles against the wall and seeing what sticks. So, Hunter, thank you for being on, buddy.
Yeah, man. Happy to be here, buddy. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So how was y'all's AEP? I know it's daunting, but was it successful or?
It ended up being successful, but man, I'll tell you, it was different, man. As you know, and I know, I feel like call centers have kind of ruined some of the integrity of some of these seniors. So it ended up being good, man. But about halfway through, I was like, holy crap, are we going to get there? Yeah. So we ended up somewhere around 55 to 6,000 is what we ended up total, which is good for us.
Nice. I'm going to go ahead and give you a round of applause for that. It's good numbers there.
Yeah. So, well, that's awesome. So, yeah, the call center game has certainly changed the way seniors want to communicate because they're so gun shy to answer the phone now, or do things. It's like we're having to make more contact attempts, having to go above and beyond to text them to create, some sort of, and most of the times it's not the stateside call centers, it's them hiring out the like Pakistani call centers that are just calling everybody, man. I mean, I got in opt-in data and
I've been watching those of yours, man. That's awesome.
I had to put on RoboKiller on my phone. I swear to God, there were hours where I'd get 30 phone calls in an hour from telemarketers. I mean, so I can only imagine.
And so think about, if you were a senior and your number ended up in that same.
Why would I ever answer the phone again? I mean,
there was some of our field guys that would finally get an appointment, and I mean, they were getting 30 and 40 calls a day. Almost begging our field reps to say, "How do I make it stop?" Yeah, so it was tough, but at the end of the day, one of your previous videos about the CRMs, the Zaps, and stuff like that. I mean, those are the type of things that help get around some of those bombarding calls. So I think people need to watch and rewatch that and get involved.
Yeah. So I'll tell you the phone call thing too. We had a client that said she went and changed her phone number because it was so bad, and the phone number that she got was also in that algorithm. So she might have to got a whole new phone number, and you just have to keep changing it until you find one that's not in there. But I mean, opt-in data too. So this is what a lot of people were saying, like, okay, well, what's the legality of them just randomly calling? Well, it's technically they found this way where it's not a cold call because it's opt-in data. What the hell is opt-in data? What did they opt into? So I found out
the cold call.
That if you put, like, let's say 10 years ago, you threw your you threw a little piece of paper in a box to win a Ford Fusion at the mall, and Blue Green, the timeshare company, also called you back and said, "Hey, you might have won this. You're now a finalist," and then they're trying to sell you a timeshare, but they say, "By the way, are you interested in blah 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 blah?" And you say, "Yeah, sure," and they threw in health information in there. Well, now that's some opt-in data somewhere that,
somehow, some way.
Yeah, it's basically anything you ever responded to in the history of the world. could make you opt-in data.
They probably never heard anything about what they actually were going for.
I honestly, some of these people, you have to wonder, is so far removed from the time that you opted in that you, like, if you tried to sue them, like from the FTC perspective and say, well, I never opted in, like, I don't know if they'd ever have a way to really prove that you didn't or did. It'd just be so far removed. So I just wonder.
That's what's so scary, man. That's what's so scary because I've talked to some of the carrier reps, and some of them don't even like it, but they can't trace it back. They don't know where it starts from. Like you said, you got the Palestinians, doing a warm up and then transferring it. Yeah. I mean, it's tough.
We had I've had carrier reps say the same thing. They have trouble tracking it, and it goes to even down to the concept of when they. And I'll say this, like, we've had some, in volume, and I'm sure you guys have dealt with this, where we've had complaints. Most of them have been completely unfounded stuff. But when you go to track that complaint, they don't even ask us the lead source. I have not one time been asked the lead source on a complaint. And so, like,
if anything, they just want the scope.
Yeah, they might want a copy of the scope, which they don't even really look into that much. They just want to know that you have one. And then they don't ever say, like really make you prove the lead source. And I'm not saying they should or they shouldn't. It'd be a pain in the ass for the guys that are doing good business. But that these call centers that are generating that stuff, they're not out there asking them where it really originated from.
And the problem is they're using third parties. So, the third party is a lead generator, or, they're the one providing the live or warm transfers. So a lot of the times they don't try to comply by all the rules of the industry. They're just trying to create the lead so they're trying to fulfill their order.
Yeah. So if you can't beat them, join them applies. Should some of us be looking to hire these same Pakistani call centers next year?
I just don't think I could do it.
I don't want to do it either, but I have friends.
You don't want the client that comes through 4 or 5 transfers?
I have a friend, and he actually is one of the receiving end call centers of these, or he works for them. Mm-hmm. And they just said they had their best AEP ever by a long shot. That's where it's coming from.
Because of that style of transfer.
Because of that style of transfer. They're talking about $300 telephonic CPA, which is good when you're if you're doing that kind of
really
volume.
Good.
If it's lowering your CPA, then why not?
The thing is, though, Justin, where do you reevaluate, right? So do you reevaluate in March or June and see what the longevity of that client really is?
Yeah, that's something I'm so some of the groups that are doing this are large publicly traded organizations, and they can afford, a lot of what they're doing is like, it's the acquisition. So they're playing a different game than the average agent. The game is acquire this many, get this much marketing dollars. Even if I have a 3-year average lifetime of a client, for us, that's terrible. For them, they might be like, wait, that's okay. We did 100,000 of them. So if my profit margin per one is $600 before the marketing dollars,
it cost me 1 or 2 years of premium. On the 3rd, 4th year, I'm profiting.
Absolutely, yeah. So
anyway, I see it. It's a whole different game. I mean, it's a whole.
But it's convoluting for the rest of us, because how many, like, we have MedSup clients, and how many of my MedSup clients do we end up finding out 2 years ago took out a Medicare Advantage plan from a company? And see, then you'll get a field agent. They'll go in the house and they'll be like, "Who's your agent?" And they'll be like, "Oh, it's the Brock agency." And they'll be like, "Well, you got a Medicare Advantage plan and a supplement. They screwed you. I didn't write them the damn Medicare Advantage plan. How the hell am I supposed to know they had it?" And so then
it's not like they send you a letter telling you that.
I don't know. And then they never canceled the MedSup, because why would I cancel the MedSup? I didn't know they took out a Medicare Advantage plan. Then you got people on Facebook saying, "Oh, I got to report these agents." Stop reporting agents, first of all. If you're listening to
That's low class, man.
Do not report other agents. Move on. Help the people you can, and move on. Reporting agents.
If the member is upset, let them report the agent.
Yeah, I don't coach them to do it. Because I'll tell you this: we had an LOA that coached one of the guys, or encouraged them to report. They filed the complaint against somebody that cold called them, but they didn't know that person's name, and so they told the name of the LOA agent who helped them do it. The complaint got filed against the LOA agent. There was no complaint against him, but they just didn't understand the old person on the phone. Anyway,
That's happened to us twice.
Yeah, it's bad, very bad karma to go out trying to report.
So you mean to tell me that you don't get paid for reporting agents?
I
doesn't make you money.
I get paid handsome. It's so helpful, to shut down. And these people don't act like it's your competition either. Like we know. So there's just in Tupelo, I can name 5 other Medicare agencies really quick. I can tell you, I don't run into them that often. There's so many people out there. Help who you can help and move on. And first of all, you might be getting a dishonest story or half the truth, and then you're encouraged somebody to report something, and it might be somebody that didn't even do anything. And if you've ever had a violation, and I guarantee you, if you're listening, if you stay in the business long enough, you'll have one. The first 2 that I had were on 2 PDPs, and the allegation from the client said that I told them they would never have to pay a copay for any drug.
Now, that was not compliant presentation, bro.
You were just trying to make the sale, weren't you?
Yeah, I just really wanted them PDP commissions, so I had to lie to get them,
I'm telling you, boy, you made that $40.
Yeah, so I earned it with my lies.
Or the one against me said that I didn't send him the summary of benefits, and I had the email where I'd emailed him the summary of benefits prior to the sale.
Yeah. And that was the guy that we tried to talk into it. That was actually a lawyer, and we tried to talk him into a MedSup. Yeah. I did. And then I was out of town when he called back to follow up. So I asked Stephen to do it. Stephen sent him the summary of benefits, everything. And he kind of demanded the Medicare Advantage plan. And then we took it out. And then 2 weeks later, he's filed a complaint to get off of it. And I'm like, we tried. He was turning 65. We're like, dude, you make $170,000 a year. Just get a MedSup and be done with it. You can get a $95 plan G in Mississippi and you're turning 65 or $100. It makes no sense. But that's what we told him. And he still filed a complaint against you. So if you're in the business long enough, you're going to get goofy complaints. And if you ever had to deal with one, it's so annoying that you wouldn't be out there trying to complain against other people because you know that there's false allegations that get made all the time.
And normally, man, you can tell when someone's coached.
Yeah.
You can tell when that complaint comes across if an agent's sitting there coaching them.
Yeah.
By the way it reads.
Oh, yeah. Tell them that they said that you're going to have to tell them that the agent lied to you because that automatically gets them their little special enrollment, change. And I'm like, but the agent didn't lie to you. Like that, But anyway, so outside of Pakistani and Palestinian call centers and, and complaints and all that, you guys have had a successful model for a long time. And what's different about Elite, than maybe, some of the brokerage models that are out there that sink or swim models?
So just a little backstory. So David started Elite just as a regular agent back in, I think, 06, 07, when everything first came out. Mm-hmm. Just wanted to be an agent, grew it by friends wanting to work with him, such and such, went from 5 to 10. I came on in 2010 as an agent. So rule number 1, and I've read several of your posts too, is you can't lead agents if you've never been in the field before. So a lot of these FMOs, IMOs, even GAs are just trying to recruit for an override, which in my opinion is the wrong way to do it. Mm-hmm. So anyways, as we grew, we're just a brokerage, right? So we only had street agents or GAs where we just made an override. Mm-hmm. Up until I think about a year and a half ago, midsummer of last year, when we, David met Tyler with IFG, we spent some time with him. Ultimately, made a move to join his platform and program. And at that point, that's when COVID hit. So I had friends. Matter of fact, a brother-in-law of mine was out of a job. David had friends. Just people, good people, man, just good middle-class people that's making $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year, losing their jobs. So as you know, we're predominantly Medicare Advantage. Well, July, August, man, you're making nothing on Medicare Advantage by the time you do leads and what have you. So we decided we would try to create a model where it's a win-win for us and the agent. Mm-hmm. So we call it a career agent model simply because we're trying to get them a jump start to a career in this business. you see over and over, LOA's bad, LOA's terrible, LOA's trash, never assign your business to someone else. I mean, I know you hear it all the time. I hear it all the time. And truth be told, we've always been 100% against LOA, just because of the horror stories back in the day where you want to leave, you couldn't leave, they keep your renewals, blah, blah, blah. So we got to think about diving into it. And we feel like we came up with a fair package where we pay a fairly substantial base salary plus tiered app bonuses, and we pay a back in renewal, which is fair because that's the renewal game is what everybody gets an MA side for anyways. Mm-hmm. So technically, after they get to 500 clients, we'll allow them to go to street. They build a book of business, they have a renewal stream, and then truthfully, I feel like they can make it in the business at that point. Yeah. However, had I hired my brother-in-law in July on a street paid by the carrier, which everybody praises, contract, he'd have been out in 2 months.
Yeah.
Could have made a living. Could not have supported his family.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how that started. And don't get me wrong, it's good for the upline. I mean, it's good for us.
Yeah.
But it's also good for that agent. And as long as it's fair in both parties and you let them know up front what's going on or how this works, I think it's a win-win. So it's been very successful for us. Our agents love the model. We've actually had to cut it off in some markets because you don't want to saturate a given market where you can't help the agents that you've already hired.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know if you work in Georgia, but this pretty saturated market here.
It does seem like it. I probably know more independent Medicare Advantage focused agents in Georgia than any state collectively.
Yeah, that's true.
So it is a lot. I could name a whole bunch of them. I won't go into naming them. Let me just name a few. I'm just kidding.
Some of the largest brokerages are based in Georgia. I mean, Zach McKenzie, Keith, us.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the Sheridans in North Georgia. That's just the people under our same umbrella. I mean, there's also Kingdom. I mean, it's just a lot of people right here.
Yeah.
And
then you got Senior Select has their little Medicare Advantage spinoff as an integrity element with Josiah Sweet and Will Thompson's working for My Financial and doing a little bit of Medicare Advantage there.
Yes.
I mean, I just know all of that, and that's just what I know. And I don't even live in Georgia. I know more Georgia Medicare Advantage agents than I know Mississippi ones.
And it's crazy, man. So, I read the posts on, some of these Facebook groups, and don't disagree that there are some LOA models that are not structured correct, right?
Yeah.
So
there are some that are just 100% in favor of the FMO. It's your LOA. We're not doing anything for you. Basically, they're a brokerage model that has the commissions assigned to the upline. And
that's terrible.
And that is terrible.
That is the terrible model. Yeah. That's the one you want to avoid.
Ours is.
But you should be able to spot that pretty easily, once something like that's presented to you.
Yeah. And I like y'all's because it's kind of it's in between what mine is. And mine is like a full blown career model. Like we're bringing you in and, basically paying every single expense, having a salary, having a commission, we're paying a renewal. And we take the majority of the commission, but we're paying a base salary and we're giving them such a high volume of free lead flow. And I mean, a lot of it's high quality lead flow, like walking in the door, calling in, and it's high quality branded lead flow. But yours is kind of like a model where they are putting in some work on their side, going out and visiting people and stuff like that. But you're paying them enough on the front end, and you have a lead model where you can support and help get them to the right people. So it's kind of in between what mine is. And the thing with mine is, like you said, I don't need 100 people in that. I honestly need 10, and if I had 15 most of the year, I wouldn't be able to support them. So it's like a control of how many of those LOA agents can we even support in that model. I mean, I can't make, we've done a pretty good job making people walk in the door and call in, but it's not something you can just turn on like a water spigot, and so for you guys, you could probably, based on the way you're doing it, get more agents, but you still got to temper it, like especially in a geographic location. Because if you're running lead flow or calling on people, or because I believe you guys do some appointment setting too, don't you? Is that in that?
Yeah. So and truth be told, man, that's how we built our brokerage, right? As we've always had a call center where they set preset appointments with us, SEOs, direct mail, agent supply leads. We've had David Creed. He started that when it was just him. He had one caller for himself, and then it's just snowballed. I think right now I have a little over 20 upstairs that calls and sets appointments.
Nice.
So I guess what I'm saying to that is that our career agents that are in the field, they just wake up and go to work, right? They have
you can take a hardworking guy that, you know, is smart enough to learn the information, and you can turn them into an agent, whereas maybe they weren't a entrepreneur, start a business from scratch, eat beans and weenies, make my family suffer for 6. And there's some guys that can do that. And that the brokerage model basically fields, you know, everything out, and will let you know pretty quickly who's going to actually, you know, survive. And it's a really small percentage that do, you know, they talk about the 92%, but man, I'd say it's less than that. Like on a full straight brokerage model.
MA only is less than that.
Yeah. It's just it requires, like when I talk to these people and they're going brokerage, I'm like, you know, you're going to go balls to the walls, working your ass off, negative money the first year, you know, eating, you know, leftover cornbread and old pizza the second year. The third year, you might be able to go lease a Prius. You know, and so with these people, they're like, I made $100,000 the first year. Well, first of all, what they're telling you is they're probably selling life insurance, you know, and now they're going to have trouble making more than that. Plus, they're not telling you what they spent to do that. I was going to say,
what was the net?
They're never talking net.
Right. Yeah. What's the net?
If my gross revenue is $1 billion, but my profit margin is 1%, then I made $1 million. Or I made 10 million. So it's a huge difference when you're talking about net. You know, if my gross revenue is 100,000, but I made 10%, then I made 10 grand. So it's very, very, very different to think about that. And you gotta look at those expenses of I put 40,000 miles on a car. You know, what kind of car can you get where if you put 40,000, like you can't get a brand new car, put 40,000 miles a year on it in 3 years, you're upside down in a car that's got a whole bunch of problems and you still owe, because now you're financing them for 9 years. Yeah. So there's a lot of expense concepts in it that are very difficult for people. And I don't tell people go broker or LOA. We have both, you know, models.
We let them choose.
I just let them choose. I mean, I think there are people that should go broker for sure. It's not a one size fits all, and Facebook tries to make it a one size fits all. And a lot of the people that are giving advice make $28,000 a year and shouldn't be giving advice to anyone.
Well, Hunter, you said that at 500 clients, you guys allow them to go street. I mean, I imagine there's probably a bunch of agents that get to that point and decide I'm still not ready. I just want to continue doing what I'm doing.
Keep doing it the way I'm doing it.
I do. I have 2 or 3 that are probably by the end of this year would be there. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to be off the model. You know, I don't know if I want to tackle doing the leads, trying to figure out where I need to be. Because, I mean, we do it all, right? So,
what's funny is they get 500 clients, they go street, they got some renewals, but now they're having to go create all that on their own. But 500 clients staying with you guys, letting it go. Honestly, when they go street, they're going to have to understand that now they're taking a cliff off in lifestyle, because now they got to go and rebuild some functions, or they could just kind of keep going like this and, you know, and make more and more money working under the umbrella. I'd say probably over time, the longer you guys do that, you'll have more and more higher and higher percentage of people that are just saying, I'll just stay. Why not? Why not? What's the point? You know,
why leave? So a good example is one of the guys I have that we hired towards the end of last year. He was laid off from the ports in Mobile, Alabama. Mm-hmm. Like you said, not an entrepreneur, he was a welder, right? So he was looking for a job. He was struggling, failed his health test twice, finally passed it. Fast forward to now, his first full year with us on that career model, he'll make $92,000.
Yeah,
year one.
So he's thinking, comparing to what he's used to, he's thinking, why would I change something that's working so well for me?
Only expense he had is gas, because he's a field agent. That's it. So, I mean, my point, like when we were texting, is that there's a place for LOA career. There's a place for brokerage. But those people that slam it without knowing what it can do for an agent's livelihood, I just disagree.
Yeah. The real answer to brokerage versus LOA should be when you're getting involved, look at what the value proposition is. And I'll tell you what kills me is people that want to be brokers, but come to me asking about the value proposition. And I'm like, the value proposition is you get the lion's share of the money. So at this point, based on the success rate of brokers, until you prove yourself, I can't do a whole lot for you. Now, if you get a broker that's a downline that's like, I got Josh Lustig's one of ours, and he's very self-sufficient and writing a whole bunch of business. Obviously, I'm going to help those types of guys more because of just the sheer volume of what they're doing. But most guys, you get a guy doing, 100 Medicare plans a year, and he's slightly above street, and you're making, a couple percent here or $50 an app here or whatever. There's not a whole lot more you can do for them, really, other than maybe an AEP when the money, the purse strings get cut loose. You can throw them some free leads or something, or you can, cut them a small marketing check. But some of them act like, I need this and I need this and I need this. I'm like, well, there's this thing called LOA, and then we can give you that. Or you at least got to take a way lower level. I can't give away a whole bunch of stuff until I know something. If you get somebody that's already successful somewhere else and they're like, hey, I don't like where I'm at and I'm coming over to you, of course you can make different promises based on what is a proven track record. But these brand new agents, I love brand new agents. I think the industry needs them. We need new blood all the time coming in, new energy. But you have to understand that if they're going to be on the broker model, you got to prove yourself before you really deserve to be able to ask for anything.
Well, and I know it's probably not common knowledge. I know you talk about things a lot on your podcast and Facebook and stuff like that, but you said it best, man. Even as an FMO, we're top line in some carriers, sometimes we're not, but an agent makes 2.5 to 3 times more than me and you make as an upline, right? So we're not going to spend more than you spend on your leads. It's just that doesn't work like that.
Some of them don't want to invest in themselves at all and want you to do it for them. And they're like, well, I don't have any money. I'm like, yeah, well, I didn't either when I started out. So good luck.
That's just the way it goes. Figure it out.
No, I didn't even like when I got into it, because my dad was an agent. He didn't talk about uplines. He's just like, here's these contracts. I didn't even know who the upline on them was. Had no idea. Eventually, I met the uplines and I became good friends with a lot of them. But that took a couple of years before I even really acknowledged that an upline supported you in any way. For me, it was, This is what the commission is. Go out and write business. Some people think the level that's on their contract dictates how much they get paid. But the number one factor and indicator of what you're going to get paid is your effort, your output, and how many people are you talking to.
Yeah, and I think some of that's the internet. These brand new agents are seeing out there, and then there's a lot of FMOs or uplines that are over promising things, and so they see that, and then they come to you where you're providing real value, and they're like, well, this other person's telling me they're giving me this, this, and this, but are they showing you the way? Are they setting appointments for you? Are they providing some value to you that you can say, yes, they're earning that?
Well, and this is identifying a couple of different cancers in our industry. One we talked about earlier, in my opinion, is the Pakistani transfer. That's a cancer on the industry. Two is a recruit on comp MLM. Why is it a cancer?
Or the free leads.
The free leads, which is basically a list of people turning 65. Hey, buddy, you don't even got to get appointed. You go to t65.app. Integrity just put it out there for everybody. You can get all the T65 door knocks you want for free anywhere. But Mutual of Omaha will give you a damn list. That's not leads. That's cold data. I will let you know if you contract with us, I will give you free cold data all day long.
All day.
You can have all the cold data you want to. It don't cost me much of nothing. I probably got a whole bunch of it laying around.
They'll give you $1,000 a month.
It's not high quality. And even one of the guys online that's been saying for a long time to build your practice cold calling. And now that's Mr. Christopher Westfall up in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. He years ago was talking about it. And the other day I saw somebody share one of his posts that he's saying now, you'd better look into a different way than cold calling raw data, or even hiring overseas people. You better figure out how to market yourself differently, because those days are getting harder and harder. Like you said, you're having to text them, you're having to warm that number up before you can even get them to answer the phone now. So it's a whole lot harder. And so one guy cold calling on his own raw data is not the way. Like you guys got a team of people calling and technology trying to get them on the phone. Most people don't have that, and it's still harder for you guys than it probably was last year. So,
oh yeah, I'd say it was twice as hard as last year, man. I mean, last year we were 80% of goal 4 weeks in. I mean, we hit goal this year with the last week. I mean, it was tough.
Yeah, well, MLM MLM culture is something that I think is bad for the industry, and I'll tell you why I think it's bad. We need new blood, and so I do like that they bring in new people, but they bring them in on compensation, which means nothing. Doesn't matter what your point level is. They bring them in with a recruit mentality, sink or swim. Mm-hmm. I used to refer to it as the Aflac model, but now Aflac started it, I feel like, but all these other ones have perfected it now. There's brokerages that are doing it like crazy, several of them, mostly on the life side, but they pivot into Medicare too. And unfortunately, it's getting very bad for us because there's going to be all these people that got into the industry and right out of it, and the word of mouth in the marketplace is going to be, yeah, I tried that. They all lie to you. And so then even the good people, just like us with the Pakistani call centers, now even when the good people are calling or recruiting and saying, well, we do have a good opportunity. Yeah, my buddy tried that. He went with WFLG, which, some other, that's a hodgepodge acronym. You take from it what you want there. But I gathered. You got to say he went with this random hierarchy, and it was a bust. They promised a whole bunch of stuff, and then now you're having to sell against that, even if you have a quality opportunity. I might be talking about a salaried position with lead flow and a huge opportunity, like your buddy that's making $92,000, a year in. He might be talking about that opportunity, but now it's getting stacked up to being compared to going to work for Aflac, which everybody knows is not there are people that make a ton of money at Aflac, but we know how many of them don't to get to that one that does.
Yes.
And then they try to recruit in to sell their warm market, So
I see it on the client side too, Justin, is that you have untrained agents that come into the business. What you see all the time, I see it all the time. They come in, they hear about the residuals, they hear about the money you can make in Medicare, right? So they come in, they've been selling FP, they've been selling mortgage protection, whatever. No offense, I have great agents that do that, but some of them just don't get it. They go out there and write all these plans, not really knowing, what QMB is, right? Or extra help or LIS or any of that. They write them a plan. Well, now you see it where you go back a year later and present a particular plan with any carrier. You're like, oh, I tried it and they it's trash.
Yeah.
This agent signed me up last year is trash. So you see it on the brokerage side too. We get calls all the time. And it's like, hey, so my FMO does a 50-50 co-op and they do this and they do this and they do this. I'm like, well, that's great. You should stay with them. Why are you calling me? Yep. Well, they told me they would do that, but they're not. Right. So the same as you said, you get these agents flopping in and a lot of promises that aren't kept with FMOs. Some of them don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them are building for other reasons.
Well, there's no consequences or repercussions for the upline that doesn't provide that. What you leave,
a lot of them are. I was
gonna say they're just making overrides. They're not having to do anything for you anyway. So it's like I'll just recruit the next guy that'll give me that replacement.
Well, what you had too is people right now are building to sell themselves, sell the business, and then some of them have sold already, but they have other metrics they have to hit for their earnout. They no longer care about the long-term viability of the brand name as much as they did. They might say they do, but they don't really care about it as much as they did when they owned it flat out and their name was on the wall. Now it's like, yep, that's Integrity's or AmeriLife's.
Because when you owned it, it was your baby, and now you're just babysitting. Yeah.
Now I'm like babysitting, and I'm like, okay, I got to hit these metrics to get my earn out, and then 3 years in, I'm gone. And that's. I'm not saying that to dog any of them. I just think it's bad for the industry because they're going to make a whole lot of bad promises. Thankfully, if you have businesses like yours, like ours, that are doing things the right way over time, it'll outlast that because there is a consumer need for our existence. And I think the call centers, I don't think the call centers have long-term viability. I think it's I think there are good call centers. Don't get me wrong. Like my buddy Jagger Esch, runs a great one. It's a MedSup first, Medicare Advantage second is kind of their philosophy. But what they're doing is going after T65 traffic, and that T65 traffic is a lot of MedSup in there, and then they pivot to Medicare Advantage when they need to. But it's not necessarily that it's about Medicare Advantage or MedSup. It's just that the call centers that go after Medicare Advantage are just like plan flipper,
Yep.
And it's I drew an image on the board in Topeka at Advisors Excel of Trogdor, the Burninator Dragon. Said one of them's eHealth, one of them's Benefit, one of them's Select Quote, and they're all kind of eating each other's business, it seems like. And then so in their profit reports and their stock prices, you can kind of see it happening. And I just don't know that they care in the long run because they're getting so much money out of it in the interim that the people that are, running it and in charge of it 5-6 years from now, I'm not sure that they care. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know those guys, or I don't know them that well. But the model's different. It's a scale with speed model. It's not a 100-year business model, in my opinion.
So I had a conversation with David here a few weeks ago, and also I know you said Matt Murray was on yesterday. We were just simply saying that I feel like field agents are going to be around, right, if they can hold on.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a slow process, in my opinion, for field agents to be able to get back out and go, because, like you said, I don't see it being a longevity play simply because eventually people are going to get tired of answering the phone.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just going to be, I don't trust. It's going to cycle, like you said earlier, like agents do, where people don't trust being sold over the phone, right? Because when you have call centers selling somebody a $50 give back that's on full Medicaid, they don't, like you said, it's burn and turn. It's time to go.
But if every service in the world goes virtual and every product sale goes virtual and everything's virtual, where the hell is everybody going to work? There's not this concept of like, that's just the future. I don't buy. I do think field agents need to start thinking like building a resource center. So after they get a certain amount of clients and they have I do believe in pushing people to open field offices in small towns. Like you got an office in Metter, Georgia. You got an office in Tupelo, Mississippi. You got all these different towns. You build these resource centers, and the people will come to the resource center because the service industry locally is pretty strong. In the Southeast, I think retail is still decent too. In other areas, it's bad, and that causes us to lose stores and things. But I think the service industry future is strong if you build based on service, based on being a resource center, and you will survive. And I think I kind of equate it to real estate, 2008, 2009. So many agents got out of real estate, right? And then the ones that stayed in it got really wealthy when they stayed the course, because as it rebounded, when people started buying houses, they were going to the real estate agents that were still in the market, and now there weren't that many, right? And so they were getting a much larger share of that pie over the years. Same thing when Obamacare was signed on the under 65 health market. A whole lot of people like dipped out, like, oh, this is the death of independent insurance. And there's always this like cataclysmic, like, oh, there's going to be Medicare for all. There's going to be things like that. My dad has been in the industry since 1990, and he said every time the government tries to screw up this business, I make more money. And it's true. Like you got Medicare Advantage, you get Part D, you got ACA. It's all for the people that stayed around. They made more money.
Well, I think the other aspect of it is, with the call centers is it only takes one time for the client to not have faith anymore. And so they're, think about they're starting Medicare at 65. By the time they're 75, they've probably made, 3 or 4 plan changes, at least a drug plan change.
Yeah.
But all it takes is one time for them to be burned by the call center. And then the next year, they're going to seek out somebody local, somebody personal, somebody that they can have a face-to-face conversation with. And so that's where you're going to benefit because you're there to catch that.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying is, local branding, stuff like that. Field agents where they want someone to come sit down with them and explain it. Like you said, it's only going to take one time for them to get burnt. They're done.
Yep.
So
I think there will always be a need and value for that retail, that set down, that face-to-face conversation.
I was listening to Freakonomics is a podcast I used to listen to. They'd break down some like data, and they were talking about the service industry, like certain industries that will never go online fully. And one of them was they were using mortgages as an example, and they started reading like the legal language behind mortgages, right? And it was like ridiculous, like the just to try to understand the concepts, and like to think that somebody is really qualified to go on and pick out their own mortgage online, like the average person, and then because they'd all get into three arms or whatever and have it skyrocketing interest rates down the road. And the same thing Johnny said, Johnny told me yesterday something like, well, it's all going online. And I said, because he was talking about ACA shopping. Like we had an ACA shopper that went and enrolled themselves online on healthcare.gov. And I was like, first of all it takes is, because I hear this all the time, one time that they burn themselves to be like, I ain't doing that anymore.
File their taxes and they have to pay all that subsidy back.
Exactly. And then another thing I told Johnny, I was like, dude, the most profitable products they have are ancillary products like hospital indemnity, cancer, DVH. And we sell a bunch of that with it. These insurance companies are always going to need that to make it float, because if you talk to a MedSup company, for instance, they'll tell you a lot of them price the MedSup to really not make any money for years. And I'm sure MA is the same way. It's a long-term investment for them. They love to get that ancillary premium in there to help them, boost their profits year one. It's kind of like us selling a final expense policy, because really I don't make money for the first year on the Medicare Advantage sale because of the cost that goes into it, right?
Right.
And so, I said, how many people do you know that are going on Health Sherpa or healthcare.gov or Medicare.gov and upselling themselves to a cancer policy, a final expense policy, all these different things? So, and that's one reason I would tell people to sell ancillary, because it is a good benefit when a customer needs it, but it's also part of the business where you're actually selling something. Sometimes if you get too fixated on zero premium MA, okay, now you're not really a salesman. You're just kind of enrolling. A lot of those people are not going to buy hospital indemnity plan, but 0% of them will buy it if you never bring the damn thing up. So
if you don't ask, right?
Yeah. So I think a lot of them will buy it if you bring it up.
We're a terrible example. But a good example is we've never did anything. We never did any of that. It was all MA, and then we joined. We had some GTL contracts back in the day, and we pedal like one every 6 months.
Yeah.
So when we joined Tyler and we got it going with that, and Heartland is kind of one we kind of lean on.
Yeah.
We have Aetna and some of those others, but not only does it help the agent, but it helps the agency owner too, man. I mean, at the end of the day, those clients feel 100% better when they make that choice, right? When they are pretty well protected from those copays in the hospital or wherever they choose. Those plans are amazing.
Yeah.
They have a great value. And so, DVH does too. But hospital indemnity, if you're selling MA and you're not offering it, that's a disservice to the client.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how much I tell somebody what their hospital copay is. They're always pissed off when they have to pay it. So if you got that HIP in there and they call and they're pissed off and like, oh, did you file it on this hospital indemnity plan? No. Well, yeah, just send us a bill. We file it. And then they get a check and it paid their hospital copay. Now you look like a hero. And now they keep that plan forever.
Yes.
And you've got a raving fan.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Awesome. Well, look, buddy, appreciate you being on here today. Obviously, there's a bunch of craziness going on in the industry, but glad to have friends like you that are building good long-term vision businesses that actually add value to the agent and the client.
If there's any agents out here listening that want to take advantage of the career model you have going on, where can they find you, Hunter?
I'm on Facebook, obviously under Hunter Davis. Our website is elite-insgroup.com is our website. We have a contact us on there. Not as pretty as Brock's, but it's still there.
We can help you with that.
I'd wrap it up with is I want to use you, Brock, too, because I know your dad was in the business already, but what you built was based on what you started as an agent, right? So David Wilson, the owner of Elite Insurance, started as an agent, hired a couple of friends. His friends told other friends, and it's now we have somewhere to the tune of 400 agents. I'm saying all that to say it is possible. You don't have to try to start from the top, right? You don't need to come out and start calling Justin or me and wanting an MGA or FMO contract for 3 agents. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Every time, build a business, build an agency, and there's plenty of room out here for it.
Yep. Absolutely. I agree. We got to try to start protecting the integrity of what the contract levels actually mean a lot more. They just get thrown around to anybody. I mean, there's so many. I've run into people that, really pissed me off in the past that had a higher contract level with me on a contract. And it was like two guys and, their mom or something. And I'm like, here we are producing tons and tons of business for this, and you get paid more per application than me. Like, that's ridiculous that somebody handed you that. Of course, then it made me go like, I need that level, Tyler, whatever, but
of course. My thing is, I had somebody they already had it. They had an FMO contract, and I'm not going to throw any carriers under the bus, but you probably could guess. They had an FMO contract with their son and mother under them with this carrier.
I know exactly who it is, because it's the same one I was thinking of, where there's somebody online that said, wow, I got this FMO contract with this carrier. I'm so proud of myself. And I'm like, and then I was in a 1-year lockout period from even being moved to it. So I think that's up in February. I'm supposed to get, but anyway, I know the carrier you're talking about, because it's
how do you have no parameters, right?
Yeah.
I mean, here we are writing thousands upon thousands of this carrier per year, and it took us 6 years to get there. And now it's just, they got two agents write 22 apps a year.
That's one thing I like about Aetna Medicare Advantage.
Yes.
It's one of the biggest pains in the ass is to climb their ladder in comparison to others, but at least they have the real parameters. But I think what's going to happen is they're going to go to doing it just like everybody else, because they're going to get petitioned to do it that way by the biggest hierarchies. Because the biggest hierarchies don't care. They want to be able to hand everybody the top comp and be like, ha, 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 we beat you on comp, and no value proposition, but that's what they want to do. Because I've seen it time and time again, people getting handed contracts that, I've learned that I qualified for certain levels with certain carriers from guys that were much smaller than me telling me they got offered it by another hierarchy. And I'm just like, and now a lot of the levels we get, I actually do feel like we have qualified for, and we've earned it, like building good quality, high persistency business. And some of these guys, that's another cancer. Talking about three cancers of the insurance industry. So that's what we're going to have to. That's what we have to call this one, the three cancers of the insurance industry. But no, Hunter, we appreciate you being on here. If you guys enjoyed today, please subscribe to the podcast or follow on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We post them as videos and audio files everywhere. And please give us a 5-star review. Any platform that allows that really helps us out. Thank you for being on, Hunter. We'll talk again soon, I'm sure, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good day, man.
You
Thanks,
too.
Hunter.